Hello and welcome to the Royal Podcast. This is your host, Her Royal Highness Lyra, and I'm here with Ntate Jabu Tamme, and we're going to be discussing men's mental health. Hello, Ntate Jabu, how are you?
I'm okay, Lerato. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for coming to the show and joining us today.
Pleasure.
Can you please tell us more about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a young man, above 40, who's having two kids, a son and a daughter, and who's had his background in politics, business, and corporate, plus community service, which puts me in a different light in terms of being a generalist instead of a specialist. So yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, in the topic of men's mental health, I always see spaces being created for females, and females can go and be vulnerable in these spaces, but these spaces are not created for men. How can we as a community overcome that or change that?
Oh, Lerato, and when you start thinking around that, you realize that the males are starting to get at a disadvantage in many areas. Why? Because they're not getting their empowerment platforms or opportunities as women are now getting, which makes it difficult for the young boys that are growing up to be able to find that there's an excitement for them, only because now they can't be even able to date. Young girls are actually empowered. Young girls are able to buy for themselves. Young girls are able to take themselves out. So it makes it very difficult for the young boys to be able to start getting excited with life anymore. So with nothing for them except for what we are aware of, it's Men's Forum that's actually out there to assist the men. But what about assisting them from when they are still being brought up, which will create a problem later, because then they're going to start feeling disadvantaged in many areas.
And they're going to start noticing the isolation. It's like we're isolating now because the empowerment is now
more focused on women.
It's imbalanced actually.
Yeah, it's starting to cause that imbalance, and they just got to be told from their homes by parents that a man is a head of the house, a man is supposed to be the one to initiate things, men is supposed to be productive, men have to bring out income, men have to do this, that, and the other. But now they can't seem to be finding fit in terms of being able to deliver that, because now there's now disempowerment from their side, because everything is now focused on women. That makes it difficult.
Yeah, and then also when it comes to how do we as women contribute positively when a man is going through some sort of challenges because of what you just mentioned, that men were raised to a indoda doesn't cry, a man doesn't cry, and eventually when men are experiencing challenges they would rather distance themselves, and it becomes very difficult for us to intervene or to lend any sort of help, so how can we change that?
That's going to be a tough one, Lerato. One thing I know is that when you take things back to even when you consider the difficulties kings have, because they are the authority, they are the supreme beings that are in charge and in control of the subjects of probably the palace and whoever the constituency is, if it's a president. But they too get to have councils which they go back to when they are stuck. At homes you have a difficulty because a father thinks he's the authority, and when he's got a problem he doesn't know who to turn to. And this is where the challenge comes. Nobody in life does not have an authority. And males are thinking that to probably look up to God is a problem. It's probably being sissy to go to church, or being sissy to focus on God as your supreme being and authority that has to help you. So people start making up their own authorities it can be cults, it can be other things that people tend how to, and it's going to be sad for most people to think of having to go that route, because then it's a destructive route, it's a route with consequences that will make you suffer in the end. So there is no other thing that teaches an authority to know in the house that there is one above him. And that is where people are starting to feel that there is now an issue of them having to focus on suicide as the answer, alcohol as an answer, drug as an answer, because they don't seem to have anyone they can be able to, share with. So the tiger don't cry issue is basically what kills men. That you brought up that way, and you have to live that way. Sad.
Yeah. And you even mentioned God. I see that a lot of times our churches are filled and they flocked with women. Even I remember when that episode of Dooming and people drinking jig, it was women, and people were asking, where are the men? Why is it happening to the women? Blah blah blah. But it brings me back to the question of how can we get the men to be involved spiritually and not think that going to church is for sissies or it makes you like gay. It's okay to pray. It's okay to seek counsel from the Creator.
Yeah, I find that to be a serious challenge. The challenge comes with the fact that from when men are brought up, you can start with the curricula from school. The school curricula has been designed in such a way that the oppressor benefits from the curricula. And then the oppressed is also given the same curricula, but the compounding effect is negative, whereas with the oppressor, it's, the positive. Now, you take both of that with the kids brought up in the same school with the same curricula, the other one in a compounding effect of positive, the other one negative. The other one knows that, look, I have a father at home who is called a master. I have a father at home who is important. I have a father at home who's called a boss. And here is another child who is oppressed. He takes the same curricula. He may do well at school, but there is this thing of low self-esteem. It's not taught at school at that time. Self-importance, self-concept. The little granules of life and character building elements that brings out a person to become a person of note or of significance. And that dies off because this child sees the father calling a white man a master, and then comes home, and then he has to learn from this father who is calling somebody else a master. And then this child tends to learn what? The low self-esteem, the low self-importance, low this, low that, which equals to what? When you take the other one on the opposite sense, the opposite side of it would be that this child feels more important, more, at ease with life, and that he can be able to do well with every other aspect of life. 360 degrees of it is that this child is empowered. But this one gets disempowered, even though he can be learned. So he can take the lessons, he can have the degrees, but then he gets to have equal to all these things, self-hate.
Yeah, and self-hate, it leads to self-destructive behavior. That's why now a lot of our boys, they are on substance abuse and yeah. So as women, how can we come together and help when a man is experiencing challenges or is vulnerable? How can we come and assist?
Sometimes women tend to have a lack of timing or tactic in dealing with men. Men are easy people to deal with. Just holding a man right on the chin, even when he's angry, that it softens up the whole anger issues. Cutting his nails, you can just have drink a meal under the shade, you know, cutting his nails, and then get onto the issue that you want to get into, with the man sitting in that corner having that kind of, how do you call this? It's like the bonding kind of moment. So you get to be able to bring out the issues that are really thorny there. You know, you can be cutting his hair, you know, beard, and getting onto the thorny issues at the same time, because you know what you want from there. And you must get it only at that moment when there's no distractions and anything else. And this is the little thing that a woman would have to understand. It's just doing those little aspects to deal with the man when he's not at his height of emotion, but in a relaxed mode, where you're able to bring out the issues that are really serious. That then you put him into that corner, get him a nice soup, nice drink, whatever that, and then you get him to relax, and then get into the issues. You are going to come out with stuff that you normally don't get.
Oh, that's a nice tip.
It's in 2 places. We know it's in 2 places. The other one is inside. The other one can be outside. Yeah. So those are the 2 places to can be able to get what you want.
Yeah, those are nice tips. You and we don't have tactile women. We just come out. We're like, why you like this? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, you just shoot at the hip, you guys.
Yeah, and we don't know that it's just crushing you more.
Men are very easy.
So when they are young, how do we get through to them? Like as a sister, and my brother is bothered or something, and I can see he's not okay. Then when I'm like, what's wrong? And then he pushes me away.
I think you're talking about what probably may have been the lack of love the child may have had during the rearing part. It becomes a bit, dicey there, because then the young man is lacking character, he's probably lacking knowledge, he's lacking self-esteem, he's lacking all these little things, because probably at home there was no father. Probably at home the father was hardly there, only because there's too much of money that he's sending at home than the love. Many fathers think that when they send money, it is love. There's always God and money involved there.
Yeah.
And God is love. There's gonna be the love that is missing, because the father does not believe love has to be in such a way that he can be seen holding the mother in the house, having a laugh with the mother, embracing the mother, so that the kids can learn from that. So you find that because it's not demonstrated from home with the mother and the father, or the father is away from home all the time, just sending the monies, believing that, hey, I'm taking care of my kid, I'm sending money at home, the kid is at school, who takes care of their child at school, who takes care of their child even at home, because they can be a maid. And this child is not getting the thinking which the father is holding. The child is not getting the culture which he has to grow up with from home. So this child is having a lot of things that are missing, which he could be grabbing and learning from the father who is absent. And this child is going to go on taking everything else everywhere else. And this child is going to end up with a whole lot of chaos in his mind and in his brains.
Yeah, he's going to feel some sort of rejection from the world and whatever.
Then self-hate starts there.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, how can we because I can see this new culture of, nani ni apeta. Nani ni apeta. Yeah, you also doing this. Yeah, you also doing this. Yeah, especially when it's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You. It gets hectic in the socials, hey? So how can we overcome pointing fingers with no, nani ni apeta? How can we work together and adjust? Because currently we are going into a blended family era, because majority of us we're not married, but we have children. So whenever that we're going to decide to get married, it's going to be a blended family. So I just want to know, how can we adjust into this transformation of blended families, and how can we stop pointing each other like, okay, we are not perfect.
Yes.
Can we work together?
It's such a huge challenge, that one, because now